having to shuffle around crew members to be able to prepare their race car. It's one of the storylines that will follow through as they have had to scramble with the weather and flight cancellations to get some of their crew in place for tonight's event. One of the stories, it's been a story for a while. Justin Bonsignor has just been dominant. Take a look at these stats the last 5 seasons. 3 Whelen Modified Tour championships, just ahead of Ron Silk over that period of time. He's now a 4-time champion with his success last year. Win percentage, 26%, better than Ron Silk and Doug Kobe in that span. 74% of the time in the top 5, 86% of the time in the top 10. Let's go down and join the third member of our broadcast team, Jessie Punch. She's standing by with Justin Bonsignor.
4-time champion Justin Bonsignor rolling off in the 4th position tonight. Justin, coming off a championship last season, where's this team's mindset coming into this first race of the year?
Yeah, obviously it's got a lot of confidence, and we feel some momentum on our side the way we ended last year. To come back and win the championship with 3 straight wins was pretty impressive. So good car here today. We struggled a little bit in practice, qualified pretty solid, so hopefully we can keep it up front. Bunch of pit stops, I think, tonight with the new rules. Just hoping to keep some good track position and be there in the end, and be nice to win 4 in a row.
Well, not only are you starting the season here with the mods this week, but then next week you'll be making a start in the Xfinity Series at Daytona. You've got a lot on your plate here and a lot of important races. How are you juggling it all?
It's quite stressful. My wife and I call it the life of chaos right now between work, life at home, and all the racing. So, it's a lot, but we're managing it well. I think I do better when I got a lot going on. If I get bored and sit around, I just kind of feel lazy and stuff. So we're excited for next week. Obviously tonight's the most important. This is our priority and our top goal. So we're excited for that. But yeah, it's going to be a good opportunity with Joe Gibbs' team again this year. We got a lot of races and hoping to get that off on a good start next week as well.
Well, the entire modified community is excited to watch you out there again in the Xfinity Series. But as you said, first things first, get that 51 out there on the racetrack. We'll see what you guys have this season. Good luck, Justin.
Thank you.
Justin Bonsignor, your 4-time champion, starting 4th here tonight at New Smyrna Speedway.
It's going to be fun to watch, Jesse, as we get through the season. Just a few days from now, he'll be racing 1 week, in fact, the high banks of Daytona. He did that last year for the ARCA Menard Series race to get used to racing at the Super Speedway in Daytona. He'll have the opportunity to race with Joe Gibbs Racing here coming up just 1 week from now. But tonight, the focus on hand is a Whelen Modified Tour event. And what happened earlier today in qualifying was none other than impressive. Passing the torch as the Baldwin family legacy continues. Luke Baldwin is in the 7 New York car for the 2025 season. He'll compete in a majority of the events, just 18 years old, looking to bring home the Rookie of the Year award, a coveted award in any form of racing. And earlier today, he put that 7 New York on the pole position with a time of 17.501. Becomes his first career Hoosier Tire pole award, and only has had a handful of starts in the Whelen Modified. And boy, you talk about the history here. Tommy Baldwin, his dad, won the Daytona 500 with Ward Burton as a crew chief back in 2002. His grandfather, legendary Tiger Tom Baldwin, he was a multi-time winner on the Whelen Modified Tour and at this racetrack. 6-time winner here at New Smyrna and a 4-time champion as part of the Speed Weeks program that they have here as part of the World Series each and every year. And Luke Baldwin will now look to continue that Baldwin family legacy as the year goes on. It's going to be fun to watch him. He's somebody to keep an eye on as the season rolls forward. One of the big stories in the offseason is the purse strings. Year-end payout 2025 at an all-time high. Look at that total purse at the bottom. Over $412,000 put up by Whelen and the contingency sponsors as part of the Whelen Modified Tour program. Over $82,000 for the championship team to win in the Whelen Modified Tour. Unheard of in modified competition. And this has brought out so many new names and faces based on the payout structure, not only in the points purse, but also in the week-to-week race points fund for every single race. And so it's going to be pretty interesting to be able to see how that looks. A packed crowd here at New Smyrna. Earlier today, we alluded to that qualifying run laid down by Luke Baldwin. And this race car here, Craig Lutz out on track, was a huge factor as it went through, and we watched these cars in qualifying make their lap as the day went on. The last car to come out and take time was the 7 New York of Luke Baldwin, and that car was just so good, so smooth. You can see how it floated down into the corner. No effort on the steering wheel at all for him. Justin Bonsignor, he had his hands full and was still able to lay down a pretty good second lap to be able to get up there inside the top 4 for his starting position. You look at that 51 of Bonsignor will be a factor. Steven Kopczyk is in this 21 car here this year, is well known for his experience as a crew chief. He's going to have the opportunity to go after that first win. And boy, he used to tune Anthony Cecily to some very fast runs here over the past couple of years at New Smyrna. He'll start third tonight. Austin Beers, he had the pole for a little while. He wanted his 10th Hoosier Tire Pole Award. He put this car down in the 17.5 second bracket, held that #1 spot for a while, trying to brid the pride of Mud Lane of Northampton, Pennsylvania, another pole position of the Wheel Modified Tour. But it was not to be, because Luke Baldwin held a pretty wheel in this 7 New York, laid down that 17.501 lap to be able to get the job done, and he will lead the field around for the green flag to start the 40th season for the Whelen Modified Tour. As we finish up this qualifying lap, let's go trackside once again to Jesse Punch.
Quite the strong start to his Rookie of the Year campaign. Luke Baldwin wins the pole position here today at New Smyrna Speedway. We chatted earlier as you got out of the car after that qualifying lap, and you were very happy with how that went, understandably so. Talk to me about this race car that you guys have brought this weekend.
Yeah, no, we have a really good race car. We spent most of practice just dialing it in on older stuff, and track was super greasy all day, so we tried not to dial ourselves out, trying to adapt to that. So now that it's cooled off, I think the race car is going to settle in where it needs to be, and we should be all right for 200 laps.
You made your tour debut last season, but now starting this year, knowing that you're going to run for a championship, for a Rookie of the Year title, how do you describe the feeling of embarking on this 2025 season?
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Unfortunately, we have to miss a couple due to the Smart Tour, some commitments there. So, yeah, it's going to be really fun. I think we're going to try to go for an owner's championship at least with whoever else gets in the car for the races I can't make. So it's going to be really cool contributing to it. You know, it's a family affair this year, so it's good. Racing for my dad's always special. Working with him is always really fun. And, yeah, I think we're off to a good start, and we just got to be smart, keep our nose clean, keep all 4 tires on it, and be there at the end.
Real quick, did your dad give you any final words of advice or words of wisdom before getting out there?
He stays pretty silent. He kind of just lets me get in my zone and do what I think I need to do until I start doing something wrong. Then he'll get on me. So no, he's pretty quiet. We talked over strategy and stuff like that. But you know, I think we're in really good shape. We have a really good long run race car. So I'm excited.
Have some fun out there, Luke.
Yeah, I will. Trust me.
The thoughts of your Hoosier Tire Pole Award winner, Luke Baldwin. And for anybody who has played sports, raced with their dad, you heard those comments. You know, it's interesting when you've got that family affair, but they are all business. It is in their blood. The championship picture is going to be really interesting, and it's not even the start of the season, but Patrick Emmerling has one thing in mind, and that Fleetworks #1 modified, and that is winning the championship. You look at how that team progressed last season. They struggled to really find their stride early in the year, but then went on the second half of the season on a tear and put his name in the mix for a possible championship run. 3 wins towards the end of the season. That team is back better than ever. They had dinner last night in an area restaurant here in Florida. The team got together. The crew chief, Dale Hedquist, who won the championship with John McKennedy just a few years ago, he said, you know what, boys? We're not going to have a sophomore slump as a team together. We're going to work harder than ever to be able to go out and be successful here this year. Patrick Emmerling and this team very optimistic about their chances to put together good runs early on in 2025, and that is the goal, as they will roll off 10th today for the multi-time winner of the Wheel Modified Tour, and will be a championship contender that we talk about on a regular basis as the season goes on. Cars are gridded here on the front straightaway As all the fans have cleared, made their way back to the grandstands after an exciting autograph session to witness some of the best competitions. And as our colleague and friend Ben Dodge would say, with all the colors of the rainbow staged here on the front straightaway. Pre-race ceremonies right around the corner from New Smyrna.
Okay? Who is out running tonight? Who is like, I'm looking on my radar and at home, it's going to snow a foot. How many people are here from New England? So we got a nice mix of people. We have some local stars, we have some regional stars, and we're going to have one heck of a race. The New Smyrna Beach Area Visitors Bureau 200. 105 days since we last raced at Martinsville. These guys have been waiting a long time to hear you. Give a warm welcome, give a more than warm welcome to each and every one of these drivers as we introduce them from the back to the front. You think you came from a far distance. This guy came from a different country, from Kinderkane, Ontario. The number 11 is Norman Newman. Get out of the way. Starting position number 30, car number 26, out of Rockima, New York. This is Gary McDonald. The number 18 starts next out of Calverton, New York. Please welcome veteran Ken Hagee. And now, one of the locals. Put your hands together out of Ormond Beach. The car number 09 is Chris Hatton. A northerner from Hudson, New Hampshire. He lives across from a racetrack, and he's ready to do battle on one right here in New Smyrna. Put your hands together for a Rookie of the Year candidate, Mike Marshall in car number 29. 1 year ago, this gentleman had a very hard wreck in turn number 1, and just getting here is a victory. If you believe in comebacks, no matter where you've been in life, you can achieve it, and this man is a walking testament to that. How about a big round of applause for Jeremy Gussner out of Tampa, Florida? This driver comes from Pennsylvania, and if you're watching on Flow, a special watch party for the teacher from in car number 12 for Brian Sonas. Starting position number 24 out of Preston, Connecticut. This is Max Zackham. Third generation driver starts next out of Griswold, Connecticut. Car number 59. Please welcome Tyler Berry. The Rocket starts next on the outside of row number 11 out of South Bend, Indiana. The number 8 is Ryan Newman. One of the three, count them, 3 Catalanos in the field tonight, and they all start in the top 21 out of Ontario, New York. Number 56 is Trevor Catalano. Nice qualifying run for a driver inside the top 20. Car number 81 out of Riverhead, New York. It is Mark Stewart. They call him the Son of Peace Sandbagger out of the great state of New Hampshire. Starting position number 19. The number 25 is Brian Roby. On the outside of row number 9 out of Riverhead, New York. Car number 36 is Dave Sapienza. Another Catalano, starting position number 17. This is number 84, Tyler Catalano. Trying to get this year off to a great start after a nightmare start to 2024. He held the point for quite some time in early qualifying out of Bayshore, New York. This is Kyle Bonsignor. Inspired by his brother, quite possibly a brother rivalry into their 60s. You might have seen it on Flow with Chris Fleming winning at Bowman Gray last week. And say hello to the driver with 46 years of racing under his belt and qualifying position number 15 out of Mount Airy, North Carolina, Frank Fleming. Starting position number 14, outside row number 7 out of Ontario, New York. This is number 54, Tommy Catalano. Out of Hamburg, New York, the driver with one of the cleanest cars in the field starts next. Car number 14 is Jacob Lutz. 59 years we have had the World Series of Racing, and there is no race car, or very few race cars that are more synonymous with modified racing than Old Blue number 3. And behind the wheel, out of Owego, New York, this is Tyler Ripkema. Starting position number 11. Tomorrow, if you're watching the Super Bowl, will the Kansas City Chiefs three-peat? Question, are they gonna? No? Hey, does anybody want the Chiefs to win? Well, this guy is trying to do a three-peat of his own. The winner of the last 2 years, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ronnie Silk out of Norwalk, Connecticut. And now your top 10, number 3 in the point standings this year last year out of Orchard Park, New York. Car number 1 is Patrick Emmerling. Fast in practice and a top 10 qualifying run for one of the more solid efforts this afternoon out of Roxbury, Connecticut. Car number 44 is Chase Dowling. What a comeback this driver has made already this afternoon. Struggled in practice, struggled in the first lap of qualifying, but in qualifying lap number 2, put it in the top 8 for a driver who ran up front last year out of Homedale, New Jersey. This is Andrew Krause. We talk about Ronnie Silk winning the last 2 races in the history of this particular race in the Whelen Modified Tour being in this place. He won in 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, he will start position number 7. The PD Motorsports number 60 is Matt Hirschman. Outside row number 3 out of Riverhead, New York, car number 58. This is Eric Goodale. Last year on the front row, led a ton of laps. Another solid qualifying effort. Top 5 tonight out of Miller Place, New York for car number 46. This is Craig Lutz. This next driver starts in position number 4, going for his 4th straight win. This has not happened since the 90s, since Mike Stefanik did it in 1997. The defending champion is car number 51, Justin Bonsignor. What a qualifying run for car number 21 out of Newtown, Connecticut. Give it up for Steven Kopsik. And now your front row, car number 64 had the pole until the last guy, and he was watching so close. He almost had the Hoosier Pole Award. But he starts on the outside of the front row out of Northampton, Pennsylvania. Give it up for Austin Beers. And going pole position in the new Smyrna Beach Area Visitors Bureau 200 out of Mooresville, North Carolina. Car number 7, the next in the Baldwin line. Give it up for pole sitter Luke Baldwin. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your starting lineup. And now I'd like to hand it over for the proclamation reading of tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. It's wonderful to have Matt Ryman on the microphone.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here. This is an honor. So I'm going to go through all the whereases for you and bore you to death. But whereas New Smyrna Beach Speedway is well known for its annual award series of asphalt stock car racing and has been providing exciting racing competitions that have entertained fans since 1966. And whereas founded by local businessman Clyde Hart, New Smyrna Beach Speedway is now under the leadership of his son Robert L. Hart and is the only NASCAR sanctioned short track in Florida. And whereas through its special events, New Smyrna Beach Speedway has brought significant revenue to Volusia County, amen, hotels and restaurants, and has maintained a long history of community involvement. And this is the last one, I promise. Whereas each year, the Hart family donates 100% of the proceeds from the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing annual race program to the Heart to Heart Breast Cancer Foundation, a 501c nonprofit foundation that helps local men and women battling cancer. Now, therefore, we, the County Council of Volusia County, Florida, do hereby proclaim February 7th to 15th, 2025 as New Smyrna Speedway World Series Race Week in Volusia County, and join the Speedway and its many fans as it celebrates its 59th anniversary of racing. Congratulations. That's yours.
Thank you.
Not yet. Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it from Matt Reinhardt from Volusia County. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we're going to move into the conclusion of our opening ceremony. So I'm going to ask you to please rise, if you're able, and remove your hats for today's invocation, followed by our national anthems. For today's invocation, I welcome Mr. Don Rivers from the Racing with Jesus Ministries. Don, take it away.
Thank you. Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, you have blessed us with a glorious day, with a glorious facility, and some fast race cars. Lord, we ask you to put your hands upon these drivers, these officials, everyone connected with this race. Lord, protect us, keep us safe. Lord, these fans, see them safely home tonight. Lord, we ask that your presence would be here in a special way, and that we would compete and we would respond and treat each other in a way that would honor you. And Lord, we're thankful for what you've provided for us. And we give you that thanks and praise in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
And folks, if you'll please remain standing, we're going to honor those with the playing of our Canadian National Anthem. If anybody would like to sing the Canadian National Anthem the rest of the week, please let us know. For now, we're going to do our best and play it on the phone to honor our Canadian drivers in competition. I think I heard Don singing down there. We might get him to do it for the rest of the week. And now if you'll remain standing for our national anthem today, to sing it with his new song, Life in a Country Song, which you can check out on all streaming platforms, please welcome Conway Trulley.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's another ovation for Conway Trulley with that great singing of our national anthem in New Smyrna Speedway.
The wait is almost over. The off-season will end in about 5 minutes' time when we get the command to fire engines. Stay with us. We'll fire the engines when we come back to New Smyrna.
We couldn't do it without Whelen. I don't believe we've ever taken a product off that was broken. It was we put the car out of service.
What price do you put on a life? We don't want to run the risk of causing loss of life through our response.
Whelen sells peace of mind. Their goal is to get home each and every evening. And if we play a small part in ensuring they get home safely each day, it's extremely gratifying.
There is no better sight than open wheel modifieds in the state of Florida in the month of February. Moments away from getting started here in 2025, the historic 40th season for the NASCAR modifieds. I'm Joe Koss alongside Andy Austin. We're getting close to the green flag.
Full house tonight, and look at that, people in shorts, probably for the first time since September or even October. They are ready to see one big show. And Joe, this is going to be kicked off in a very, very special way, thanks to the Whelen Modified Tour and FloRacing.
Going to be a big night for sure. Young Luke Baldwin has earned his first career pole position. He'll lead the field around to the green flag. Now for the command, here is Ben Dodge.
NASCAR, Robert and Jane Hart, and the new Smyrna Speedway family, that I proudly salute the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Gentlemen, start your engines.
It's so good to hear that voice, the voice of the great Ben Dodge, who is synonymous with Speed Weeks here at New Smyrna Speedway, who is under the weather and not able to attend with us tonight, but our hearts and thoughts are certainly with him, and he is with us in voice on the racetrack, sending these 31 drivers ready to do battle for 200 laps, Joe.
It's going to be an outstanding race. You mentioned Ben Dodge. He has been part of this program here at New Smyrna Speedway. The Hart family has had him down as part of this for decades upon decades. Modified racing, his voice, his name synonymous with this type of racing. I got Ben dialed up here on the old text message. He's going to be alongside us tonight. He's got a little bronchitis. Wasn't going to be ready to announce, but he's ready to rock and roll. He's going to be firing off updates and giving us his insights as the race goes on.
Joe, do his thumbs work?
Oh, no doubt.
Okay, so we're fine. We're going to be hearing from Ben. He's going to be blowing up our phones.
We'll still hear from Ben here tonight. Going to be a wild night. 200 laps. This racetrack is fast. High banks, 23 degrees. Ultimate racetrack for modified action. Packed house, packed crowd. It really doesn't get much better than this.
And then you have the old asphalt, which is going to be very, very key in how someone ends up in victory lane tonight, because it isn't just follow the leader for 200 laps. There is some major strategy involved, which we're going to see play out over the next 90 minutes to 2 hours.
Yeah, Jesse Punch is going to update us on some of the rule changes before we see the green flag, and it's going to add a whole nother flavor of what they can do with these tires, how that plays out, to being able to deal with that old asphalt you were talking about. Tracks in the South tend to have a really gritty asphalt that wears the tires out, and as a result, it puts the hand of the drivers in control as they've got to muscle these cars around the racetrack, and that's where the excitement comes in.
That is why this is completely a packed house here tonight, and we have a ton of people watching on FloRacing. You see the field 31 strong, set to get the green under the flag stand of Sean Houlihan, our starter here tonight. And it's a mix of veterans and rookies, too. We have an impressive number of rookies in the field. You can take a look at one of them on the pole. There's Luke Baldwin with young Austin Beers on the outside of the front row in car 64.
That's the future of modified racing right there on the front row here tonight at New Smyrna. Steven Kopchik, only a handful of starts. He'll start third tonight. Now a four-time series champion, Justin Bonsignor, will start fourth.
He started up front last year and is in the top 5 this year. Fast race car for Craig Lutz in car number 46, with Eric Goodale to the outside in car number 58.
Matt Hirschman won the inaugural race here for the Whelen Modified Tour. He's won 5 of the last 7 Speedway track championships here as part of World Series Week.
Andrew Krause will go to the outside of him in car number 24. And then it's Chase Dowling in car number 44. Rounding out the top 10 is Patrick Emmerling in car 1.
Ron Silk, he'll start 11th, two-time champion, and Tyler Ripkema might be one to watch in Old Blue, car number 3.
They ran a couple of different races last year. It was the races they struggled with they learned the most. Jacob Lutz in the clean, number 14, will start on the inside of row 7. Tommy Catalano to his outside in car number 54.
Well, the Fleming family, they won big at Bowman Gray. Frank Fleming, 65-year-old, in the field here today alongside Kyle Bonsignor.
Tyler Catalano in car number 84, followed by Dave Sapienza in 36. And then it's the New Hampshire driver Brian Roby with Mark Stewart to the outside of the 81.
Trevor Catalano, Ryan Newman, and Tyler Berry, and Max Sackham in row 12.
Looking at the back of the field, Brian Sonas, the school teacher, on the inside of row 13 with Jeremy Gertzner in number 55. Back on the racetrack, followed by New Hampshire's Mike Marshall and Chris Hatton to his outside out of Ormond Beach, Florida, a local hero starting in row 14.
And Ken Hagee, Gary McDonald, and Norman Newman rounding out our starting lineup here tonight at New Smyrna. She'll be busy all night on pit lane covering the vast numbers of stories that we're going to have related to strategy. Jesse, tonight it's going to be about what happens on pit road. Bring us up to speed on the new rules that are in play and how they impact pit stops here tonight.
Yeah, you are right about that. Pit road is key here at New Smyrna. So, as you said, important to note this change to the rules. Teams can take 2 tires per stop. So they are able to take more than 2 tires under a single caution, but they would have to make another trip down pit road. Also, reminder, teams cannot take fuel and tires at the same time. So we do anticipate to see a fuel stop from a lot of these drivers here early on in the race. But noting all of this, it adds a lot of potential for pit strategy here. And as we've seen in years past, that's the key to being successful in this race.
You're right, Jesse. I know it's a new season. It's the first day of school. That means you've got a new pair of shoes, and you're going to need all of that to be able to run up and down this pit lane here tonight at New Smyrna, because they're going to keep you busy down there on pit road.
One driver we're watching on your screen right now is Ronnie Silk in car number 16. He seems to, he's looking to get his mojo back after struggling towards the end of 2023. He fell short of the championship to Justin Bonsignor, and we expected the 16 team to come out of the gate fast this afternoon. That hasn't been the case. They qualified outside the top 10, and that is something that doesn't happen often with Ron Silk.
It's going to be interesting to see if he can navigate through this field. This is a very, very competitive field. The teams earlier today said there's not a lot of grip in this racetrack. I'm going to have to be up on the wheel. I'm going to have to be aggressive from the drop of the green flag, and I'm going to have to bring the heat. It is Florida after all, and we're ready to fire them off here to start the new season. All the work, all the preparation that went into the offseason to be ready to rock and roll, it comes down to the opportunity to race here in front of a packed grandstand here at New Smyrna, and one of the most iconic weeks, not only in short track racing, but in NASCAR racing in general, as part of Speed Weeks here in the state of Florida.
Lights stay on the pace truck in turn number 3. Many of you watching with snow either in the forecast or already starting to fall. Don't you just love racing where you can watch it on flow, and we are under 65, 70 degree temperatures, and there are people in shorts while you're at home waiting to shovel yourself out tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. Maybe you have to do 2 rounds of it. Right now we have 200 rounds of Roundy Rounds with the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour kicking off season number 40.
Wheel and Engineering lights go out. $412,000 point fund for the modifieds this year. $82,000 to the champion. Nearly $16,000 on the line here tonight for the race winner at New Smyrna. And it's all about the win here today as they get ready to roll. The young 18-year-old Luke Baldwin and the family 7 New York. 7 New York has been just part of the history of the family. 3rd generation racer in Austin Beers, 2 young guns on the front row. Mike Mosier will bring that pace truck down the pit lane. The green flag is out, and the 40th season of the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour is underway.
From the outside or from the inside of the front row, and the outside line to the lead. It is Luke Baldwin leading the freight train back into turn number 1. Austin Beers now closing up in 2 with Bonsignor advancing to 3rd. Drop kicking Craig Lutz moves up to 4th. And one driver losing time on the outside. That's Eric Goodale at the back of your screen.
Goodale into 58, running outside of the 21 of Stephen Kopczyk, who's in this car. Anthony Sesley has driven the team car, the 19, but he was injured in the offseason in Atlantic City in an indoor race, so they only brought the 21 car down. Stephen Kopczyk will run a handful of races here this season. Qualified well inside the top 3 here tonight, but settles back in line here in the early going.
We talked to him earlier this morning. That's how long these drivers have been at it. As we've mentioned, the first day of school, they were doing all of their media obligations as early as 10 o'clock this morning. One of the first to go through was Kopczyk, and he was all business. He was one of the first to get through so we could go work on the race car, have a strong showing here tonight.
There's a look at the 44 car of Chase Dowling. Dowling will be in this car in 2025, and that car is going to be one to watch. They worked a lot on race pace speed, and boy, it looks like so has the 51 car, but the caution flag is out. First time of the night here tonight.
And one driver spins. That's car number 55. And what a story he has been over the course of the last year, as a wild event at the last Speed Weeks for the driver of car number 55 of
Jeremy Gershner.
Jeremy Gershner, yeah.
Been able to get that rolling once again. And last year, practice, throttle hung wide open going into turn number 1. He broke many of the bones across his pelvis, his leg. Really spent 5 months in recovery. Local Florida team. He's now moved up to North Carolina. An opportunity to be able to run a few more races on the tour. But what a wild recovery it is for him. Let's take a look at what happened to Jeremy.
And he's going into turn number 1. He was running towards the back, and there he just ends up sideways, and a harmless spin, much smaller incident than he had at relatively the same place 1 year ago. And, you know, we talk about a driver who has gone through so much physical therapy and so many different surgeries. I don't know if I could find another driver that has the amount of gratitude he has for life. Out of all the drivers we talked to today, he is about as full of life as any of them, if not more. Immense gratitude. He has a son that he's bringing through Legends Racing who has some health challenges as well. But there's nothing that can keep that family down. They are full steam ahead.
Well, Whelen Engineering brings us under the first caution flag tonight. The Whelen caution lights are on. Whelen, the official warning lights of NASCAR, trusted to protect first responders.
There you have a great shot into turn number 1. Again, 7 quick laps into this one. Luke Baldwin has had this field in hand. Austin Beers quickly gave a quick chase, and then had the caution flag not come out, I'm not sure what Justin Bonsignor would have been able to do because he was getting ready to do battle on the inside going into turn number 2. Watch the 51 come alive on the restart in just a moment.
Well, we're joined now by a gentleman who knows a thing or two about modified racing, and he was racing at Bowman Gray Stadium last weekend twice, the NASCAR Cup Series, and it is modified, the 2013 Wheel Modified Tour Champion. Joins us, Ryan Preece. Welcome to the booth.
Yeah, no, it's certainly different being up here watching one of these races, but man, what a great crowd right here for the modifieds, right? And just goes to show you there's a lot of modifieds, mainly fans out there.
Pretty wild. I mean, this is something that you have continued to stay connected to, whether you're behind the wheel of one of these modifieds, jumping in the role as a car owner to a modified a little bit later on this year with the kid who's out in front right now. Different look for you this year, but it's great to have you here.
Yeah, you know, not being up in the Northeast and not racing modifieds as much, you know, my father and I both have a huge passion for modifieds. So Luke's obviously doing a great job. And, you know, my father's worked with them in the past, so I'm sure they're going to go have a good time. And I'd like to see him keep running up front here.
Well, we're going to find out. You got to let us know what you're seeing here. We're hearing a lot of teams and drivers talk about a lack of grip here at this racetrack. This track changes a lot from the sun we saw earlier to what we see at night. What are we going to see here in this early restart?
Well, I think a lot of people are already complaining about loose. And, man, I just, you know, it's going to be important to keep track position. And I want to focus. Ooh, that's not good.
Kopczyk out of shape, dancing, trying to keep that car pointed in the right direction, but he collects the outside wall with that left rear tire. And Kopchik started third tonight, but he brings out the second caution of the night.
Ryan Preece, our guest here. And Ryan, you know, this early in the event, we get a couple of quick caution flags. This is a strategy race. At what point do you start thinking of pitting for tires?
Man, that's so tough. I think there's a rule here that you take 2 tires per pit stop, right? Which opens up the strategy. You come in, you grab rears early on, and then you grab right sides. And so, I mean, going 200 laps, this is going to kind of help some guys just because you might be able to stretch that right rear a little bit longer than you anticipated with these cautions right now. But you know, I'm probably the worst person to ask about that because I'm just a tire killer. So I'm looking forward to that 59 lap Monday night show as well as the 50 lap on Tuesday. But yeah, it's tough. But the strategy end of this whole thing with 2 tires per stop can certainly open that up.
You spent a lot of time coming up through your modified career at, you know, in your home state of Connecticut, Thompson Speedway, Stafford Speedway. Those are racetracks when you dive off into the corner, you drive hard into the corner, you get right back to the gas. Ted Christopher wide open, just flat open. This racetrack is a bit more finesse. You roll it down into the corner easy, and then you're getting back onto the gas. We'll take a quick look here at the third car outside lane. Kopchik just did not come up to speed. Andrew Kraus nowhere to go, and boy.
Oh, and he got it right at the end.
Man, how about the 14 split the middle there? Yeah. That was wild.
Here's another one.
Black 14. He's about 8 cars back, 4 wide through the middle.
Yeah, he hit him with the old razzle-dazzle. Check that out.
I like it. That didn't take long to come out. Get you on the mic for about a minute and a half and razzle-dazzle. I love it.
Yeah. I did listen to Buckler, you know, one of your co-announcers for a long time, so he's giving me enough ammunition.
That or your spotter.
Or Waddell.
Sean Waddell, many years, who works with the Racing Electronics Group and provides radios here. I remember there was a win not too long ago at Thompson Speedway. You got out and said, Waddell told me to give him the old razzle-dazzle, and I did.
Yeah, that's right. He's definitely got plenty of one-liners that I'll never forget, but yeah, you were talking about this track. I mean, I remember when it was newly repaved, had a ton of grip. All you wanted to do was run the outside. And over the years, this place has just aged, and it's honestly, I mean, the outside, the inside, it just provides great racing with these tour-type modifieds. So, yeah, I'm passionate about them. I love them. I love watching them. I love driving them. I think they're honestly one of the best asphalt race cars to drive.
And you'll be here, as you alluded to, a couple nights this week as part of the World Series of Asphalt Racing. Always great to have you participating in that midweek program before you get ready for the Daytona 500.
Yeah, you know, I've been lucky enough to come down here since I think it was like 04, 05. I've skipped maybe one or 2 years in the process, but to be honest with you, it's like Christmas in February. I tell everybody, you can learn so much coming here to race those 9 nights or however many nights that we run. You know, usually up north or whatever, you have to wait a whole week. And you could just learn so much about your car. You can learn what you want. You can make some changes. It's a great time, you know, and then you're coming down here with your friends. You're racing during the day. You're going out to a restaurant or whatever after, and then you do it all over again. It's just it's a great time to come racing.
And a great opportunity for you. I mean, you have worked hard from, you know, the start of your modified career right up to now the Cup Series. 6th season there, a great opportunity with RFK, and you showed a lot of strength last weekend at Bowman Gray. And you know, you come into a Daytona 500 where Chris Bush, your teammate, has won at Daytona before. Brad Keselowski, one of the best drafters, and I've seen you run pretty well at Daytona before also.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot to take in for sure. You know, I think Brad and Chris are both really prepped and ready when it comes to these super speedways. So I feel like this is probably the most prepared I've ever been going into a super speedway. But yeah, no, I'm pumped about it.
Ryan Preece, 2013 champion, with us here in the booth as we watch the opening laps of the Whelen Modified Tour race. Luke Baldwin steps on the gas. His car steps out a bit as he brings it down to the green flag alongside Austin Beers on the outside.
Here's Baldwin off at turn number 2, pulling ahead by 1 car length. Beers now fighting to the outside. Bonsignor not giving up. Sticks it down to the inside. Full shot off at turn number 4. New P2 to Justin Bonsignor back into turn 1.
Ryan, we talked a lot about the success that Justin Bonsignor has had. You have raced with him many years. How do you describe his racing style, and how do you compete against a guy who's just on fire like the way he is?
Yeah, no, I think him and Stone really hit it off years ago, and they've just continued to build on this notebook. And one thing about the 51 team is usually, even if they don't have track position here in the first opening 10, 20 laps, their car just stays so consistent, has such great forward drive. So, look for him to keep moving forward here. But, you know, I'm watching this 7NY, and it looks pretty stable.
Yeah, you know, we saw that in qualifying earlier today, too. He glides the car into the corner. No movement on that steering wheel at all. Just a pretty wheel out of Luke Baldwin all day long.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's going to take. You just got to keep it nice and smooth and really just keep the forward driving it.
Ryan, you've been on a roll in the modified, much like Justin is, where he's won 3 straight races. Trying to go for 4 tonight. What is it like to be in that role where you're the guy that's come in the last 3 races and everybody has their eye on you?
It's just momentum. Momentum is everything. Chemistry is everything, as well as, to be honest with you, communication within your team. And that 51 team has that. And as you can see, Justin's just he's just biding his time. I mean, his car looks really smooth and really fast. So, man, I think Hirschman's good. Ooh, yeah, that's a problem.
Jake Lutz around on the back straightaway here at New Smyrna has got that car rolling again. 3 quick cautions in the first 20 laps of this one here today.
Ryan Preece, our guest in the booth here, and we talk about momentum with Justin Bonsignor winning the last 3 races and all the communication. On the other side of things, it seems like the other superpower within the Whelen Modified Tour of Ron Silk, a bit off their game the last couple of weeks, stretching back to the last part of the season. They've certainly struggled here this afternoon as well, into this evening, running mid-pack. How much of this game is mental when it comes to racing at the Modified Tour level?
Yeah, I mean, Ronnie was so fast last year. So I'm a little confused. I mean, right now, because they were really a super contender. So yeah.
See what happened to Jacob Lutz here. He was trying to go 3 wide off turn 2. Kraus and Silk on his outside, and it was Silk who got out of shape off turn 2, came down across the Nerf bar, caught that right front of Jake Lutz. And it doesn't take a lot with these modifieds to knock them loose with that right front.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, at that one little touch, we're open wheel race cars, and you hit a tire on a Nerf bar or whatnot in the wrong way, you're going to go sideways. But like I was saying, Ronnie, I mean, when I think about coming and running the Whelen Modified Tour, you know, I think Matt Hirschman, I think Ron Silk, and I think Justin Bonsignor. So that's what I was referring to. Is last year he was so strong, you know, in the tour race and at the beginning of the week. So I figured he'd be right there, and who knows, he could be riding right now and moving forward.
Phil Moran's a tricky man. He knows how to make it work with these modified cars and can certainly find the setup in the second half of the race. We talked a little bit earlier about your step into that ownership model. Luke Baldwin is a guy that you decided to put behind the wheel. He's new to the series, but he's already made a name for himself in modified racing. I'm curious, Ryan, as your perspective as a driver, what do you see in Luke as we get our first rounds of pit stop? What do you see in Luke that really gets you excited about his talent?
What's exciting about it is, you know, Luke, his father's taught him right. He wasn't just throwing in and grabbing a steering wheel. His dad made him work. So I remember when my father came here and actually helped him run his 602 crate car a few years back. Luke was right there in the middle of it all. So that's nice to see. At least, you know, I have a lot of passion about racing and modified. So it looks like we got a battle under the yellow.
Yeah, Kyle Bonsignor and Ron Silk arguing over who belongs where, and that really stemmed from a drag race off of pit road. As you know, they're under. Looks like Ron's going to go ahead, but you know, continuing with the Luke Baldwin thing, working on the race car. I think that's one of the things that gravitates fans towards you, the old school race fans. Still, if they're looking for, let's call you still a newer driver or a driver of this generation, that you know they really gravitate towards you because you know your boots on the ground. You're under the race car and you're doing as much hands-on work as you can. Yeah. Do you see a little bit of that in Luke, and did that cause you guys to really gravitate towards each other?
Well, I think the relationship I've had with Tommy in the past, as well as, you know, he's starting and going in the right direction. So I like that. But what I'll point out about when you pull off pit road, I wouldn't ever get in a nerfing match with Ron Silk. He is somebody that's really, really good. I mean, he is super fast, and he really knows how to put his car in the right place. So I wouldn't want to get in a fighting, match with him.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed about Ron and working with the Tour is when the team gets to this point, that's when they perform the best. And I'm going to go back to a race, Joe, you were part of it, at Monadnock Speedway a couple of years ago, where they were involved in an incident not of their doing. They made a half dozen pit stops under that elongated caution flag. He was nearly a lap down, came back and had a solid top 5 run. That was actually a crucial race for him to end up eventually as the season-long champion. So when they're down, they're going to get back up.
Never give up attitude.
And just so you guys know, when all these guys put, I believe they all came down to put fuel in their race cars, they're on 25 lap tires. Everybody's going to be complaining about being a little loose right now. You don't have that good old grip of a new tire with all that rear percentage. So look for some guys to be sideways.
Yeah, about half the field took fuel. Austin Beers will restart 16th, the first car that came down pit road. The leader, though, and Eric Goodale, who are on the front row, did not take fuel. And so you've got some mixed strategy already that Jesse Punch talked about at the beginning of the broadcast. How about the Rocket Man? Ryan Newman in that 8 car around the outside lane.
Newman settles into spot number 2, right behind your leader, Luke Baldwin, who's led basically from the drop of the green flag. Goodale actually showed in second, followed by now Newman's up to second, Goodale back to third. Chase Dowling, 44, is up to 4th. Solid run for him. And how about pit strategy for Max Zachem? Started deep in the field. Car number 20 already inside the top 5.
Stayed out on the racetrack to take that track position as he continues to move forward. Frank Fleming was another one. We watched some great battling deeper in the pack. You see Trevor Catalano, who won at Monadnock Speedway last year. Dave Sapienza. Ryan, I know you've spent a lot of time with Sap and that group trying to improve their program as he drives that Ted Christopher-inspired 36 sideways into turn 3.
Yeah, no, Sap's, he's always been really good to me. And one thing, I try to help him when I can. So seeing him run pretty decent right now is good. I'm just hoping he's not going to be loose like I usually am.
He said that in there to turn 3, and he was all crossed up that last time through. You see the cars bottom out a lot in turn 3 here at this racetrack, too.
The 09 almost runs right out of steam. There's a big, nearly big trouble on the front straightaway. Caution flag is out as, the 81 involved in this one, and it looks like the 14's right behind him.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm terrible to watch a race with.
This is good, actually. Ryan, you don't see it off camera, but Ryan's pointing the action over turn 2. I mean, Ryan, you are into it. You are just as much a fan as a participant in this stuff.
Yeah, usually when I'm, whether I'm watching an Xfinity race, a truck race, a modified race, and I'm sitting next to people in the room or my wife, they're slapping me because I am so, I'm jumping up, I'm screaming, I'm doing all that. So, I kind of saw that before it was even happening, and then obviously you saw the chaos. So, but what I was about to say about Sap, what I was about to talk about Sap earlier is, I had the car set up like I'm driving it, which is usually driving off the right rear and loose. Well, let's check this replay out.
There's a couple things happening. Chris Hatton got up and out of the groove. Tyler Berry got into him, and then Mark Stewart, who's used to racing at Riverhead Raceway, you've won a bunch of races there, got collected by Jacob Lutz a bit deeper in the field. Lots of action unfolding here in the opening 30 laps at New Smyrna. We're just getting started with the Whelen Modified Tour season. In the early stages of the season opening event for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, just getting started. We've already seen quite a bit of drama in this one, and we're joined by a NASCAR Cup Series driver for RFK Racing, and more importantly, the 2013 Whelen Modified Tour champion, Ryan Preece. And Dave Sapienza, we started before that caution and the incident on track to talk about Dave Sapienza. You guys have had a good relationship for many, many years.
Oh, yeah, he's been just a great guy. You know, all of us that race against him, we just love him. You know, he's funny. But so whenever I try and help him, or whenever I'm around and I can help him, I like to. So I was down here for practice, and like I was saying, usually my cars are a little looser, right? And so I started him out that way. And after a few laps, he was done. He was pulling in, and he showed good speed. And I said, "Hey, Dave, how's the car?" I didn't get anything back at first, and then I said, "Hey, Dave, can you hear me?" He goes, "Yeah, hold on, brother. I gotta catch my breath here." So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I love working with him, and you know, he's a great guy.
Dave Sapienza is not a guy to be speechless. That's quite the accomplishment.
Yeah, that's for sure. So there's actually a lot of great personalities out here in the modifieds, and actually I have my radio with me, so when I'm done here, I'm gonna go listen in and check in with him. But I saw they came down for some fuel, and he was already a little loose, so now I'm really concerned he's going to be loose. So I don't think you guys are going to want to go and talk to him for a little while after. He might need to catch his breath.
Yeah, in the break, Ryan was looking at the setup that they were making. He's like, "Oh, no, we're in trouble now. Here we go."
Yeah, I don't think so. I just think, you know, I know when you put fuel on older tires, it's just it potentially makes you a lot looser in these cars. So just thinking about that, I'm really thinking about him right now.
So, right, we're trying to stack the deck, you know, for having the freshest tires at the end of the race. How long, if you're calling one of these races, you know, for the team, do you let these guys hang out there on the old tires?
What's the tire rule? I mean, how many tires do they get for this race?
You get ultimately 6, but it's rotated through, so you've got 4 stickers that you can play with.
So you get 6. Yeah, I mean, I'm somebody that wants to wait as long as possible. Tires wins races, so I take those 2 scuffs, I put them on the rear for, you know, around lap 75, 80, try to get myself to about 140, 150, and come in and take them at that point.
From a guy who knows, Ryan, good luck in the Daytona 500. It's been great having you with us here for the start of the modified season.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
All right,
enjoy
Ryan
the show.
Preece getting ready to go. He's going to put that headset back on, give Dave Sapienza a little bit more advice as to how to get this race car around the racetrack as we get set to get back under the green flag. How about under that cycle, Ryan Newman jumps out to the race lead. He will restart on the outside of the front row along with Chase Dowling as we get back under the green flag.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. Ryan Newman, who was famous for doing just that very thing in his NASCAR Cup Series days, leads the pack into turn number 3, but it's good side-by-side racing for second. One driver gets out of shape. That is Justin Bonsignor in turn number 4.
Bonsignor dropping to the back of the pack outside of the top 10. His anchor is out 4 wide as they dive to the inside of the front straightaway, but trouble for Justin Bonsignor as a battle is on for the race lead. The young Austin Beers digging down to the inside underneath Ryan Newman.
How about this pull off of turn number 4 as the caution flag is out because Justin Bonsignor comes to a halt between 1 and 2. Again, going for 4 wins in a row. It has not been accomplished since 1997. And the 3-time defending champion continues around the racetrack. 4-time champion on the racetrack on the front stretch now. He's under power, but big problems for car number 51.
So the 51 car, slow, got shuffled out of line up there in turns 3 and 4. Came to a stop in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Caution flag came out, and we are back under the caution flag now 39 laps in to the new Smyrna Beach Area Visitor Bureau 200 here for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour.
And he pulls onto the pits, or onto pit road, with the red lights on.
He's coming down to the attention of his crew in the number 1 pit stall here along the pit lane. And Justin Bonsignor paused
right front
on pit road.
Looks like he might have had a right front tire go down.
So the field is going to circulate around here as he is on pit road. They will release. Let's go down to pit road and Jesse Punch.
Yeah, your speculation from the booth was correct. The team says he cut that right front tire, unfortunately, costing him some major track position here under that last incident. But getting that tire changed, getting that 51 back out on the track. And look, the team says it's a fast race car. It's unfortunate, but we're confident in our guy. We still got a lot of laps left.
Well, Jesse, the word from race control is that Justin Bonsignor will receive a 1-lap penalty for bringing out the caution over there in turns 1 and 2. He will be held to lap. He's now that lap down as the pace truck had passed on through, and he'll rejoin at the tail end of the field. Not too many cars a lap down, however, so he could get that back here with the quick succession of cautions that we've seen so far tonight.
And that was rolling the dice, too. Justin and his team, veterans at this. Yes, they are having the 1-lap penalty to be served, but had he pitted under green, there's a good chance he would have lost 2 laps, and quite possibly even 3, depending on the severity of the situation. One of those things you just kind of have to weigh out, but it's a game of seconds, too. You have to make that decision in a split second, and Justin back on pit road now, as is Brian Roby in car number 25. And then you have the Barry Rod in car 59 as well.
So Justin's going to come in right now and serve that penalty that'll put him a lap down here today. And so he is going to wait, the NASCAR official there. Other cars on and off pit road. Ryan Newman, who was leading this race not too long ago, came in and got fuel for his race car. On and off pit road again, Max Zackham. Remember, he had stayed out earlier under the 4th caution of the day, and that allowed him to get some track position to be a little bit further forward inside the top 10. And Justin Bonsignor and this team now has a bit of work to do. You know, you mentioned, it's a game of seconds and how quickly things come. Well, for Justin Bonsignor and Ryan Stone, believe me, they are very calculated. They know the scenario and they know how to play the game based on different things that are presented to them. So it was a gamble to breaking out that caution after being shuffled way out of line with that right front tire. Would have been a lot more costly had they stayed out on track. But now he'll have to rejoin at the tail end of the field. Only 42 laps in. Justin Bonsignor will be shown the first car and only car 1 lap down, back in the 30th position out on track. So a quick caution is what that team is looking for. Meanwhile, though, the rest of the field stacked up in rows of 2 in turns 3 and 4. You've got Austin Beers, who elected to take the outside lane as the race leader. Chase Dowling on the inside of the Tinio family, number 44.
Field gets the green flag, and Beers quickly